What's going on there, guys? We back with another one. And today we got to talk about Stephen A. Smith and everything that's going on over there at ESPN. Now, first, let's attack this report that came out about him and Shannon Sharpe even causing tension behind the scenes. Now, this is just reported, and this is coming from Athlon Sports. I read this report, and it's talking about Stephen A. Smith and his deal and what he's seeking. We already covered that. You know, they want to offer him somewhere in the ballpark of 17, 18 million. He wants to be the highest paid. The Stephen A. wants 25 million, and it's likely because they're trying to expand the programming. And I know Shannon is going to have an NFL show, and obviously they're going to want Stephen A. on that, but they probably still going to want him to do NBA Countdown and all this stuff. So Stephen A. wants the money to match the amount of jobs that he has. But some insiders over there at ESPN has come out and said that the work environment, you know, is not one that's ideal. And it says Smith and his co-analyst Shannon Sharpe have created a rift between them and the rest of the show's staff. And so I started looking more into this, and they saying Shannon and Stephen A. is doing whatever they want. You know, and they said this comes from an anonymous First Take staffer. Said people used to want to go to work, but now the atmosphere is very frustrating, and it's becoming an impossible situation to manage now. And they also said this. They said Shannon had his extension deal, and it's good for him, but you can really see that both of them care about their deals more than they care about their coworkers and colleagues. I used to enjoy going to work, but right now I wake up in the morning not wanting to go in. And so that's come out, you know, about Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe. And what I will say about that is, at their age, they should get the money. You know, they should. They are the draw for the network, along with Pat McAfee, man. So, you know, when you look at that, everyday programming, not just college game day, something that comes on once a week or something like that. I'm talking about every day in the sports field. They got to get what they can. Stephen A. is 56 now. He got to get the, you know, because put it like this, when Stephen A. is no longer no good to them, they're going to not renew his deal. So if you want me back right now while I'm still hot, you got to pay me, period. Shannon Sharpe, you got to make it worth my while. If I got Nightcap and I got Club Shay Shay, give me a reason to come in. Because, you know, I know you talking about all that team player stuff, but that didn't come up in the negotiations with like a Troy Aikman, a Pat McAfee, Joe Buck. They never mentioned, I never read a report about team players. So why do they got to be team players? You see what I'm saying? It ain't my issue that you might feel like you may have to pay somebody more because of what you paid me, or you don't have the budget that you ideally would have had if you didn't pay me. That's a you problem. But I got to get my money because I have other things in motion going on. So I ain't going to just come off the strength. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, that's my reaction to that. But also it says Stephen A. Smith could get a $100 million payday thanks to Pat McAfee. And they're talking about some of the things that's going on with Pat McAfee, and they're saying he's not being a good team player. One thing that he did in recent memory to kind of raise some eyebrows, he brought in Shams Charania to talk about the NBA, where Woj is ESPN's guy. He likes to push the boundaries, show his independence, and always keep it clear that y'all acquired the rights to stream my content simultaneously, you know, when I'm streaming it on YouTube, rather than me just being one of your employees. And he pushes that envelope. He called Caitlin Clark a white bee. Had Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel going at it based off something said on the show. He also called out ESPN executive Norby Williamson and called him a rat. And he's seeking to sabotage his show and all that. So you had all these things going on, man. He also said on Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, All the Smoke podcast, he said, I report directly to ESPN chairman Jimmy Pitaro and Disney's Bob Iger. He said, I don't got an MFing boss. You know, that's what he had to say about that. And so Stephen A. is using that as, I've always been a team player, and y'all trying to throw this around. I bring in people that's hired by ESPN on the show. Pat McAfee brings in who he wants. He got Shams, who's with the Athletic. But ESPN, rebuttal to that is First Take is our show. We make you think it's your show, but you have to bring in ESPN people on that show. And Pat McAfee's like, nah, I'm gonna do what I always did. You want the rights, right? So, it is what it is. The thing about bringing in Shams over Adrian Wojnarowski is they have very different coverage of ESPN, contradicting one another. So you bring in a guy from the Athletic and Stadium to ESPN to say something different than what the guy on ESPN is saying, then it's like, yo. But I'm glad though. I'm glad in the sense that this will help Stephen A and them out if they play their cards right. You just gotta take what you can. If Stephen A wanting that $25 million, I feel him. If I'm gonna be back, I could just go to YouTube, produce more content, have my people come over on my show. But as much as you could say about Stephen A. Smith, Monica McNutt on that First Take platform, several others, it is a certain level of visibility every day on live TV that it helps other things that you have going on. And so that's what Stephen A has kind of been about as far as it pertains to like the people on ESPN up and coming in the media world. He's done pretty good by those people on ESPN. I know everybody got a different story about it, but I just wanted to share these things. Stephen A is seeing even better ratings by bringing Shannon Sharpe in. He was instrumental in that. So look at Troy Aikman, 18 million, Pat McAfee, 17 million, Joe Buck, 15 million. Stephen A want his 25. And he's going to be doing way more than them. See, that's the other thing. He's going to be doing way more jobs than those people. And I think his business savvy understands how he's been overworked over the last, when did this contract start? 8-9 years? Now, I want to at least have you meet me where the requirements is at. I want the money and the time you're taking away from me pushing my own thing. I want that to make sense if I'm going to come back. So we're going to see how this thing lands, what Stephen A. Smith ultimately decides. I think maybe he does stay with First Take, but I think ESPN is going to have to bring it. They're going to have to bring it. Maybe he settles for a lower dollar amount, but if I'm him, I don't budge off that 25. I think Stephen A. Smith, he's smart enough in business, big enough figure at this point. He needs to know that his void to the network is bigger than what they could do for him right now. Especially after that report they came out with the other day saying that they feel like they could easily make another star in his position if he were to leave. We're going to put that to the test. If you can't meet my demands, he should even go up to 27 million now that they're talking like every time I hear something stupid, I'm moving closer to 30 annually. And that's what it is. If it sounds ridiculous, that's fine. But I get my freedom. I get my free time. I done put money in this studio. Let me move forward with that. If you don't see me as valuable as that, and then you will get a full opportunity to demonstrate you can make another Stephen A. Smith. So that's how I would look at it if I'm him. They said Shannon Sharpe, he got his coins and he needs his money. And it's funny that this teamwork stuff is coming out, man. I had a report on it because I'm like, since when has that been a thing? You got to get the best thing for you. You know this is business. You know that they'll be done with you if you didn't bring value to them. So you got to make what you got to make. And I like that they have platforms on the outside of this because now they're going to really push the envelope a little bit. And they want the money that matches their worth. And they got a taste of that by having platforms outside of ESPN. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.